I want to welcome everyone to the Boston Region MPO Candidates Forum. I'm Eric Barassa with the Metropolitan Area Planning Council. This is Brian Kane with the MBTA Advisory Board. And we're the two regional organizations on the Boston MPO which oversee the MPO election process. This year we have two cities that are running for the open city seat, the city of Somerville and the city of Beverly. And the town of Framingham is running unopposed for the open town seat. And joining us are Mayor William Scanlon from Beverly, Mayor Joseph Curtatone from Somerville, and Framingham Town Selectmen Ginger Estes. So we want to just first ask you, and I'm going to start to my left with Mayor Scanlon. Mayor, if you could, and we're going to ask you the same questions, if you could just describe a little bit about your background, and then just explain why you're interested in being a voting member of the Boston MPO.
Okay. I'm a civil engineer by education and training and service in the Civil Engineer Corps of the Navy as an officer. I've been mayor for a relatively long time, about 15 years, and fortunately now we're not in a day-to-day crisis mode. I see the transportation planning and implementation issue is very, very important. One that I can bring something to, one that I believe I have the time to address, and one that demands that we give it very fair and equitable attention across the entire region. I look forward to, if I get the opportunity to have this seat, to getting into this in some real depth, and I guess that's maybe enough for now.
Great. Mayor Curtatone, could you answer the same question? Give a little bit about your background and why you're interested in continuing to be a voting member of the Boston MPO.
Thank you. It's been an honor to serve the 100 communities as the Intercorps representative of the MPO. I'm a true regionalist, and I believe our problems are interconnected. Some was learned from history of poor transportation planning in a vacuum of lack of transportation vision, and the consequences for a community like Somerville, the most densely populated city in New England, when they removed 17 rail and trolley stops, brought in Interstate 93 and cut off neighborhoods from each other, cut off industry from each other, brought in Route 28, were negative consequences on social, health, and economic levels. The key to our future, the key to the 21st century economy for this region, for the state, is to have a 21st century transportation network. Somerville has been a leader as a regionalist representative on this board, and we want to continue to do that. We want to continue to work with our partners, especially those municipalities outside the core who don't have the staff that Somerville may have, who don't have the opportunity to plan with the resources that we have, and to teach our experience of working within the core, with state agencies and with federal agencies as a best practice leader.
Thank you. And Ginger,
yes.
Will you answer the same question, a little bit about your background and why you want to continue to be a member of the Boston MPO?
Certainly. I bring to the table that I was a commissioner of public works from the 70s in the largest town in the state. And Framingham has urban sections, suburban sections, and rural sections. So I think we have experience of knowing about the management and the problems and the different kinds of infrastructure that exist or are needed in all those kinds of communities, because they all exist within our community. And Framingham has had the seat ever since towns were added, and the 3 cities and the 3 towns were added, and we've been fortunate enough to be re-elected each time. I have held this seat for, I think this is my 4th time, and my training, on top of being a commissioner of public works, is that I'm a mother of 6, and that they're still speaking to each other and to me, and so I'm going for fairness. That's the only way that can happen.
Great. Brian?
Thanks, Eric. The MBTA Advisory Board represents 175 cities and towns in the MBTA service district. A little bigger than the MPO, but clearly the challenges are the same. We face many challenges here in the Commonwealth. Ginger, if I can start with you, we can go back this way this time. What are the critical transportation challenges facing this region, and how can the MPO work to address those?
I think basically underlying problem is the fact that we are such an old community, and essentially a lot of the infrastructure is extremely old and needing replacement. We've all seen the analysis that we're $19 billion behind in maintaining what we have. And, of course, we don't have $19 billion. And so the challenge comes of where can the money be best spent? And the challenge also comes in how do we present a plan that is fiscally responsible and balanced when we don't really know what our fiscal status will be. We're usually waiting to hear who has passed what bond bill and what highway trust fund is empty or full or partially full. And so we have, it's a very complicated system, and it does take time to get the picture in your mind as to how it all works and how things can be scheduled. And we all represent not our own individual towns and cities, but we represent the interests of the 101 cities and towns, and you can't lose sight of that. So we need to always keep that in mind when we're picking and choosing the projects that would be the best, the most immediate need, and the best representative thing to do for the entire region.
Thanks very much. Mr. Mayor, can I ask you to address the same question?
Sure, thank you, and I'd like to dovetail on that because I agree. How can we achieve all our needs? And there are so many needs, from refurbishing and rebuilding some of our existing infrastructure that's crumbling, and building the framework we need to really unlock the opportunities for the 21st century economy. Transportation should solve problems like technology and should unlock opportunities for jobs, housing, and our prosperity for the future. How do you meet those needs when you have so much infrastructure? Old infrastructure needs to be addressed, and interconnecting that framework is important, and the funding around it. We've seen the legislature's reluctance to deal with the gas tax, and we have deferred liability and the billions of dollars in the future. How do we deal with that? And that'll be important. Also, creating a predictable and equitable process, an envisioning process which encompasses the entire region, and people understand what our mission and purpose is at the MPO, that we're not dealing with projects within a vacuum, that that every strategic objective within every city and town in our region that we represent, every project is a step towards accomplishing that mission. And I think only that way, and by working collaboratively, are we going to be able to achieve all our objectives and needs.
Thanks very much. Mayor Scanlon.
Well, certainly, this is a truly tough issue because there isn't enough money to get everything done. But I think that more emphasis on rail is part of the answer. I think that another part of the answer is a bigger percentage of our capital investment dollar has to go to transportation. Secretary Mullen, before he became secretary, made the comment that vehicles in Massachusetts are generating repair bills of over $800 million